ready?
Let's do it.
Live from the Tickscape Studios. Let's f***ing go.
Oh, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Let's Freaking Go. Dave Benz alongside Jim Kozamore. We got a lot to talk about, on this Tuesday after the NFL Super Wildcard weekend is finally over, but we're going to open with a little Matt Fowler special.
Third down and 7. Mayfield wide open. There's Moore again. His second catch. Still working through this secondary. And a touchdown, Tampa Bay. Hurts has got the bad finger. Don't forget about that. Pushed from behind. And he didn't get it. Hurts. David at his feet. In the end zone. Is this a safety? Side of the ball. 2nd and 4. Here's another broken tackle. This is the rookie Trey Palmer, and he is gone. Touchdown, Buccaneers. What a night tonight for Tampa Bay in a 32-9 win.
Oh, there you have it. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman on the call last night on ESPN, ABC, all your Disney channels, and working in maybe a little bit of a Disney theme there with the Pirates bit and the Pirates of the Caribbean. Nice job by Matt Fowler throwing that together. And how about that? The Super Bowl runner-up from a year ago is out of the NFL postseason tournament in 2023-2024. I always get confused. I mean, it's the 2023 season.
I know.
We're in 2024. Anyway, good morning, Coach. Well, good afternoon in Nashville. And before we get into any of this, I need to know, what is the Snow-Nami update in Nashville, Tennessee?
We got crushed around here. School, not going to school. Kids, for another couple of days. This MLK holiday has now gone through Wednesday. They have canceled schools through Wednesday because we got about 6 to 8 inches of powder that became a little bit heavy. I had to shovel the driveways 3 times yesterday, so we still have a lot of residue out there, but we are going to be hunkered down at home for a long time to come here in the, we call it the, Upper South? Lower Midwest? How do you want to look at Nashville?
Probably
Midwest.
Probably lower Midwest, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah, Upper South. I don't know. I kind of think of it's interesting. Nashville's like right there. It's right on that border. I'd rather be Upper South than be lower Midwest myself, because Midwest I think of as being cold. I don't normally think of Nashville being cold. But
I did not expect this. I mean, like I said, they only get snow once a year, but boy, it came hard. It came hard.
Well, the good thing is you were able to sit and watch some football yesterday, and
loved it.
The Buffalo Bills, they
Loved
absolutely rolled the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. We'll break that down. Was it Mike Tomlin's last ever game as a head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And is Mike Tomlin a slam dunk Hall of Famer if he never coaches another game in the NFL? I've had that topic in bars before with some people, and I'm shocked that some people say no. He's coached 17 seasons in the NFL and has never had a losing season. So we'll get into that. But I want to talk about that game last night that was the nightcap, because much to the chagrin of the man whose name is on this very network, the Philadelphia Eagles are out of the postseason tournament. And the Pirates are moving on. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, matey. Moving on.
You know what? I love that story. Let me tell you something. I might go buy a Baker Mayfield number 6 in a Buccaneer style, because that just makes me smile to see him come back and play so well and push his team across the threshold to get into the playoffs. You can say it was a bumpy ride or the worst division in football. I don't care. He's now playing in a second playoff game. This is one of the many great stories going on in the NFL this year.
Well, and are you going to tell me that they can't beat Detroit? I mean, the Lions are a nice story, and they're at home, and they're playing great, but I don't think Detroit is unbeatable. And if Tampa Bay goes in and plays the way they played last night,
Yep.
There's a pretty decent chance that
They got a puncher's chance, don't they? They got a puncher's chance going into the Motor City.
And we got a 3 out of 4 chance that it's going to be a Battle of the Bay for the NFC Championship game. You could have San Francisco Bay against Tampa Bay, or you could have Tampa Bay against Green Bay. So you got a good chance of being a Battle of a Bay of some sort for the NFC Championship. But, yeah, I love the Baker Mayfield story, man. And I love what they talked about on the broadcast last night about how kind of going and having that finish to the season last year in L.A. and getting with Sean McVay, and Sean McVay telling Baker Mayfield, you know what, just be yourself and go out and have fun. And that kind of changed everything for Baker. And he admitted to the production crew in the meeting that he had been told somewhere along the lines that he needed to reel it in a little bit and not necessarily be full-on Baker Mayfield. And why anybody would want to dial that back when his charisma and his, just rah-rah attitude and refusal to go down has been kind of a hallmark of his career, and why people have loved him and what's made him successful. That's beyond me. I think he heard a little bit of, he had all the commercials. I loved the commercial that he did when he was, he was living inside the Brown Stadium. I don't even know what the official name of the stadium is in Cleveland these days. Somebody can help us out on the text line, 844-644-TONY, 844-644-8669 to reach the show. But you're right, Jim. It's a great story. Everybody loves a comeback. And by the way, Baker Mayfield, if he continues to play as well as he has, and I think even if they lose next week in Detroit, how big of a demand is there going to be for his services as a free agent going into the NFL offseason?
Yeah, he signed a 1-year, $4 million deal. It was a bailout deal for Tampa Bay, who were supposed to be in a transitional year, trying to get over the Tom Brady portion, trying to figure it out. Bruce Arians left as the head coach. They had to get it right on the field, and all of a sudden they find themselves in a winnable division, and he goes out and wins it. Let's get back to the point about him being told to dial it back a little bit. Here's the problem with instruction, all right? You can tell somebody to dial it back or bring it in a little bit, but you have to define what that means. Does that mean tuck your head down, walk in the halls with your head looking at your shoes the whole time? Or does that mean, hey, maybe don't do as many commercials? I still want you to be a hype man on the field, but focus it more on the field to gain the respect of your teammates. The commercials will come after that. So no one defined what it meant to reel it in, and I think that did slow him down, and I'm glad that Sean McVay said, hey, you be you, because that's part of the thing I love about number 6. He's jumping around like he's in a high school game whenever his teammates do something great. I love the energy that guy brings. And you know what? He's got some swagger. He's got some swagger, and I think that's good for the game because you either love that swagger or you think he's too big for his britches, so you don't like it, and it gives you an emotion about the guy. So I'm a win-win. And again, this is an instruction for anyone who's giving someone advice. Define the advice, okay? Define what that means, because all of a sudden he is a real quarterback in the playoffs with a puncher's chance to go on the road and get a win in Detroit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people outside of the Motor City are going to be rooting for Baker Mayfield. They're going to be rooting for this guy to be able to have a comeback story and be able to keep going.
Both stories are great, right? Baker Mayfield's a great story, but the Lions story, because that entire town has finally had a chance to exhale and enjoy. So I think, well, I'll tell you, you look at all the games and you can make some cases for great stories, but that Tampa Bay-Detroit game might be two of the best stories left in the playoffs.
Tampa Bay and Detroit is going to be great. And how about the other side of that coin, though? I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Nick Sirianni, he was just the golden child last year, getting the team to the Super Bowl. And then they start off 10-1 this year, and you feel like they're going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And, the road to the NFC Championship goes through Philadelphia. And then all of a sudden the bottom just absolutely falls out on this team, and there's talk that the players don't trust him in the locker room, and then they lose last night so convincingly to a team that they were a favorite. They weren't heavy favorites, but they were favorites against Tampa. I think everybody agrees Philadelphia had the better team, and now all of a sudden there's talk about Nick Sirianni in the Super Bowl a year ago. Could he be on the hot seat And you know how fickle they can be in Philadelphia. They're not going to put up with losing. They're not going to put up with an extended downtrend for their team. And, Coz, when you brought this up on our call this morning, I thought, yeah, there's no way. I mean, the guy was in a Super Bowl a year ago. But in most years, I would agree with you. But given the availability of some really high-caliber coaches right now that are out there.
That's the key.
That's the key. A normal year, I'd say Nick Sirianni's pretty safe. But you know what? You got Bill Belichick available. You possibly could have Mike Tomlin available. We'll get into that. Jim Harbaugh's still out there. You've got Mike Vrabel available. You got a really long roster of available coaches. Nick Sirianni could be in some real trouble, Coz.
And you got to figure out the direction you're going in with the Philadelphia Eagles as well. You now hear that you might have guys retiring. They have some guys who are long in the tooth, right? You have questions about Jalen Hurts. At the start of the year, he was the odds-on favorite to be the MVP. In the end, he looked kind of average, right? In the last 7 games, they lose 6 of them, and that'll turn you from the darling to the stepchild in a hurry. I do think that the names that are out there now certainly mean that the Eagles have to reevaluate where they are as an organization. Do they have enough guys who can compete at the high level? So you want to get a coach who's there now for the high level. Belichick would be one. Vrabel could be another. If Tomlin becomes available, that could be another. Or do you say, you know what? We have to turn this roster over. We have a young enough quarterback. We've got to get younger all over the field. Maybe you go with a younger guy who has not been a head coach in the past, although Sirianni had never been a head coach, and they made him the guy. A year ago at this time, we're talking about him being the template for the new head coach in the National Football League, and now 12 months later, we're talking about him maybe being out on the street.
Nick Sirianni really didn't want to talk much about it last night. And by the way, I was listening to a little bit. I was driving my son to school this morning, and I was listening. I was flipping around on some sports talk radio, and I heard some people talking about Nick Sirianni and Mike Tomlin and being asked at the end of their press conferences about their future, and saying it was a former NFL coach that was on that I was hearing, and he was saying, "Oh, that's not appropriate. They should just be talking about the game." But listen, and I get it. I get why a coach would come out and defend other coaches. But
I agree with him.
But at the same time, Jim,
Nope.
When are you going to have Nick Sirianni and Mike Tomlin in front of you again? And I get it. They're not going to say anything. So
Right.
I see both sides
You're
of
just
it.
You're pumping your own tires.
Yeah,
is what you're doing
you're not
by
going to
asking
get
the
an
question.
answer, but you've got news directors and sports editors and whatever that they want clicks.
Sorry,
and
they
getting
don't know the job then.
Getting a coach walking out it's clickbait, unfortunately. Anyway, here's Nick Sirianni, part of his post-game press conference last night.
We were just a little out of sync, obviously. We had the big play to Devontae. Besides that, we were just a little bit out of flow. That's always going to start with me. Wasn't good enough. Obviously, we weren't putting him in good enough positions. And so, sometimes when you're in second and long and third and long, you're not continuing drives, it's easy to look at the stat sheet and say, they didn't run it enough. But, there's things that aren't being accounted for. You're in second and long. You're in third and long. There's nothing to say that you can't run it there, but it's going to be harder to pick up a first down in those scenarios. So whenever you're out of flow like that and not in sync like we were, it's going to be hard to get your carries when you're behind the sticks.
And Nick Sirianni, he did say later that he's just, hey, this is about the team, and he didn't want to talk about his future. That was him trying to put a little bit of it on himself last night, as a good coach will do. The thing that was shocking to me in that game, number one, that Nick Sirianni took points off the board early in the game, and I get why he did it because they wanted to be able to stop the momentum. But I don't know, Coz. I don't know where you fall on that. I'm a big believer in not taking points off the board, and it didn't work
after the point after, and they decided to go for 2.
Yeah,
that point.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And
they love the brotherly shove. They think the brotherly shove from 1 yard out is a guaranteed lock.
Right, and
but that might have told you right there that Philadelphia their heart's not in it, man. You can't shove it 1 yard. Sorry, man. You guys, they're not playing with real heart.
Yeah,
the brotherly shove basically was lock. I mean, if you're gonna tell me anything works at a 90% clip, which was the stat that they had, it basically was a lock. But obviously they didn't execute particularly well that specific time, and that's all that matters.
When you come out and you are able to stymie the brotherly shove or the tush push or whatever you want to call it, when you come out and you're able to do
Good
that.
Little Rascals reference, Stymie. One of my favorite Little Rascals. For you older listeners out there, go ahead.
Little Rascals, man, we just got a Little Rascals reference on the show.
I know. You know what? I'm guessing our producer doesn't even know who the Little Rascals are.
I know who the Little Rascals
Name
are.
one.
Our gang.
Name
our
one.
gang. I should have said our
Stymie,
gang because I
there
think
you go.
Stymie was our gang.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Let's see. I actually have for you. Let's see if I can get this for you. Here you go. Wait, no, that's okay, here we go. That was Kung Fu
That was not
Fighting.
music for the Little Rascals.
Here you go. Here's the Little Rascals.
My heart's singing right now after hearing that. My heart is singing. Darla, I'm part of the He-Man Women Haters Club, and yet when Darla walks by and bats those lashes, baby, I'm right back in it.
Was it Alfalfa? Was that the guy with the
Alfalfa? That was his girl.
Yeah.
That was his girl.
Anyway, Little Rascals. There were no that was pre-sound, right? Those were
No, those are talkies. Those
Were
are
they
talkies,
talkies?
but early on in the talkies. Yeah, early
on.
on.
The talkies. All right, there you go. For your
And what great film, some people think of it as a Christmas film. What great Christmas film did Alfalfa eventually end his career in? He had a bit part.
844-644 Tony.
Yes,
if you
he
know
had
the
a
answer.
bit part in what great Christmas movie in which he turned the key and opened a floor on two hot dancers in the 40s?
I'm going
That's
to go
your
with
movie
White
trivia for
Christmas.
today.
I'm going with White
Close.
Christmas.
You're close. You're close.
844-644 Tony. 844-8669 on the text line. If you are so inclined to try and figure that out. Okay, so
I'm not going to the Google machine for it. Don't worry, Coach.
you're not going to
Good.
the Google
I like it.
machine. Okay, so I don't know how we got on the Little Rascals, but the bottom line is that
Because you said somebody stymied something. Oh, they stymied them on the tush
on
push.
the tush push and
Yes.
the brotherly shove, the tush push, and I think that that electrified Tampa even more. And the way Tampa just came out and seized control of that game. We J.P. Peterson on yesterday talking about could Baker Mayfield go? Baker Mayfield not only went, boy did he ever go. And so they gotta figure it out in Philadelphia. And now we're looking ahead to the game between Tampa Bay and Detroit. But let's talk about the other Pittsburgh team real quick, Coach, because Mike Tomlin. Boy, that game could not have gone more poorly for Pittsburgh. They did climb back into it. They made it interesting at times late. But let's face it, there was a point in that game when Buffalo had the ball. They had a chance to go up 28-0, and it was going to be lights out. And then the blocked kick, they were able to force the Bills to try a field goal. They block it. It puts them down in the red zone, and Pittsburgh eventually turns it into a touchdown. They get it to 21-7, and it made it a little bit entertaining, but it never felt like Buffalo really was in danger of losing that game. The playing conditions, shout out to everybody in Buffalo, by the way, who got that field looking as good as it did. And also, by the way, shout out to the Bills fans who went out there and helped get the field ready. But absolute condemnation to the Bills Yahoos out there. I knew this was going to be an issue when we said yesterday on the show that they got the field clear, but the snow was still in the stands. You just knew people were going to be throwing snowballs. And there was a point late in the game when the game was still a little bit in flux. Pittsburgh still had a slight chance, and they went to Mickens in the end zone trying to see if they could get a touchdown. And all of a sudden, a snowball comes flying in. I mean, that was absolutely unacceptable. And I don't know if you can throw a penalty flag on the crowd, but if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm going berserk that there's a snowball coming into the play as my receiver's trying to catch a football.
Yeah, that was bad act. That was a bad act by a couple of bad actors. And I'll be honest with you, that stunk. But I think it was to the minimum. I think it could have been worse. It probably would have been worse had Pittsburgh taken a lead on Buffalo. I think that the snowballs would have rained down, but it's simple. You see someone who's doing it, you see something, you say something. Point them out, kick them out. I'm you know what I am? I'm hard on sports crime. All right? You boo in Chicago, I kick you out. You throw a snowball, I kick you out, and I take away your season tickets. It's that simple. You're hard on crime, you know what? No one else is going to throw a snowball. So I agree with you on that. But overall, I love the story of how everyone came together and shoveled snow to clear it out. Bills fans went to help Bills fans for the most part. And that to me is what I'll choose to focus on in the Buffalo story. And Buffalo's a great story. Hottest team in the National Football League right now. Toughest game, I think, coming up in the divisional round with Kansas City coming in. If we had to rank the games, wouldn't this? To me, this is the best game going. Is Buffalo, Kansas City.
Well, you got Buffalo, Kansas City, and you got Houston, Baltimore. So I would say Baltimore is going to be heavily favored. As good as Houston looked, Baltimore at home is going to be heavily favored. So Buffalo, Kansas City, that's going to be an all-out war. And, you brought up the point last night. We can get into this later in the show. Is this the new Manning versus Brady? Because it feels like that's always going to be a matchup that we're going to see in the postseason. And we've seen it a couple of times. It's been fantastic. We're probably going to see it a few more times. This will be the first time, though, that we've seen that matchup in Buffalo and not in Kansas City. And this will be the first road playoff game of Patrick Mahomes' career. So that is going to be a big storyline in the lead up to that game. And then the other games in the NFC, you got one that's going to be lopsided probably. Unless, can Green Bay pull off another miracle? They're 10-point dogs at San Francisco. I think the Niners are
10-point dogs.
They're 10-point dogs.
10-point dogs. They just went to Dallas and destroyed the Dallas Cowboys in a playoff game on the road, and they're 10-point dogs?
They're 10-point dogs.
That's a stunner to me. That's a stunner to me.
Yeah. Well, I think
Spoiler alert. The Being Matt's bookie segment is going to consist on Friday is going to consist of multiple sandwiches. Whoever wants to take Green Bay.
All right. Well, we'll get to that.
Green Bay in the 10 might not be a bad call.
Well, it depends on what the parlay is. I would probably lay the 10, but we'll see what the other things on the parlay. By the way, we'll have a sandwich update later in the show as well. It's over. It's all over. Coase cannot win.
Crying.
Coase cannot win the NFL playoff quarterback lottery or draft that we had. He's mathematically eliminated at this point. I'll explain that later as well.
Even though my guys could be in the Super Bowl,
you can't win.
I still would end up losing.
You still would end up losing. Let's just break it down right now. I'll just break it down. We don't need to tease it. I'll break it down. So we did our draft on Friday, and I figured this would at least play out, into through the divisional playoffs. But Coase, you took Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You're good on those two. And then Dak, Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, Joe Flacco, and Tua Tagovailoa. And how it worked is you get 1 point for each win your quarterback gets. Obviously, Lamar didn't play this weekend, so you still have him, and you got Josh Allen still. So you can get another point off of each of them potentially. So you could get 2 more points.
I could get 4 more points total.
You could get 3 more points total because potentially Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are going to play each other. So
right. So let's say both win this weekend. That's 2. They play each other. I get a win. That's 3. And then they win the Super Bowl. That's 4.
Oh, that's true. Okay, you get 4. All right, good point. So maybe you're not mathematically out. I did this in my car as I was getting ready to drop my son off from school this morning. Meantime, I have 5 points currently, and I've got Purdy, Mahomes, Stroud, Goff, Mayfield, Love, and Rudolph. So I had 5 of my 6 quarterbacks that played this weekend got me a point. The good news for you is I have 2 games next weekend in which my quarterbacks are playing each other. So I'm going to lose 2 of them.
You're guaranteed to win.
But I'm guaranteed,
but you're
2 points.
to win.
So I'm guaranteed to move to 7, but you could potentially still get to 8. So I guess it's not over. I take that back.
You spoke too soon.
You still mathematically have a shot at winning it. So we are still alive. That's good. I wanted to
say slow and steady win the race.
Slow and steady. But you are in a huge hole, my friend. You're down 5-1.
I am, but so were the Buffalo Bills, my friend, and look at them.
All right,
home playoff game in January.
So at this point, I would.
Can I point this out? I found myself this weekend rooting against the quarterbacks I have taken. I was rooting for Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. I got to be honest with you. I got a soft spot for Detroit. I was born in Chicago, but I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. Those are such great people in the upper Midwest. They are so hardy. They are so deserving of this type of team with a head coach that is what the blue-collar Motor City people are all about. I think they're one of the greatest stories, and I was rooting for him over my guy, Matthew Stafford, whom I love as a quarterback. I think he's a fantastic quarterback and an even better guy off the field. Love him and his wife. But I was rooting for Jared Goff. Every time I was looking up, I was rooting against my guy. It was amazing.
Well, I appreciate that because there are 3 sandwiches on the line for that, and I feel good. I feel good. I'm in a good position, but I declared the victory too early. I'm actually glad you're still alive because we still have something to talk about.
All of a sudden, things are changing.
I hope it gets interesting. Oh, that's all I got to say. All right, real quick, let's get back. Or should you know what? We're just about at the bottom of the hour break, so let's just tease the Mike Tomlin talk. Coming up, we'll hear from Mike Tomlin. He got asked about his coaching future, and then he walked off the podium. And then so the speculation is on. But I really want to know, Coz, and I'm curious to see your opinion. Is Mike Tomlin a slam dunk Hall of Famer if he doesn't coach another single game in his career? The winning record throughout his regular season is unbelievable. His playoff record is good, but not great. So we will have that coming up. We are going to take our first time out. We'll also have a Matt Fowler sports update that is coming up after the break. And don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Tuesday edition of LFG here on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Okay. Cool. Yeah, she didn't take that intro out, which is weird, but we're good. We're in the break. So we've got we got this is a 4-minute break, fellas. So we'll come back with the sports update. Okay. And then we'll do the Tomlin sound.
It's the bottom of the hour, or close enough. Time for your Tickscape Studios Sports Update with Matt Fowler.
Travis Kelce is retiring. He told his teammates after the Eagles' 32-9 loss to the Bucs last night. A sixth-round draft pick in 2011, Kelce's played his entire 13-year career with the Eagles and has been one of the key leaders for a team that has made 6 postseason appearances and 2 Super Bowl trips over the past 7 years. And Julian Lewis, the top high school player in the class of 2026, is headed to college a year early. The quarterback told ESPN that he plans to reclassify and enter college in the class of 2025. For all your scores, updates, and anything else you need, check out the Tony Bruno Sports Network app wherever you get your apps. This is LFG.
Matt Fowler, I just want to know. I just want to confirm. I was kind of looking at some stuff to be able to get into the show here, and I admit I was not hanging on every word. I just want to confirm you said Jason Kelce and not Travis Kelce, correct?
Which Kelce?
I did say Jason.
Okay,
Kelce,
I just want to be sure. You might have given Taylor Swift a heart attack there if you had said Travis Kelce. But okay, Jason Kelce retiring. That's interesting. And could that be signs he doesn't want to stick around for the aftermath of what's going on in Philadelphia? But I want to talk about the other Pittsburgh team and Mike Tomlin. He was asked.
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Did I say the other Pittsburgh team? See, now I'm.
Yes.
The other. I want to talk about the team in Pittsburgh.
Let's just clarify real quick. It's Jason Kelce, ladies and gentlemen. Calm down. It's Jason Kelce, not Travis.
Jason Kelce, and Mike Tomlin, the other Philadelphia. See, I did it again. The other Pennsylvania team. Mike Tomlin, and by the way, it's a sad day in the Keystone State with both of the NFL teams not so ceremoniously ousted from the playoffs yesterday afternoon. They
both got boat raced.
They
got boat raced.
It's a rough day for the state of Pennsylvania. 844-644-TONY.
They could use a kicking. That state of Pennsylvania needs a kicking. I've been saying that for a while, so I'm pretty happy about both of those teams getting ousted.
All right, here's Mike Tomlin walking off the podium last night at the end of his post-game press conference.
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
There you go. Mike, you got a year left on your contract. I'm not sticking around for any of it. I'm not talking about any of it. And, Coz, I get it.
Dumb question award. No one in the media is going to say it, but it's a dumb question.
He wasn't sticking around for it. So my question to you, Jim Kozimor, is...
Hold on. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Let me just jump in real quick. It was a dumb question unless her question was, you have a year left on your contract. What are your plans to try and turn this roster over so that you guys can be more competitive? That's different than if she says you have a year left on your contract and she goes down the direction of the contract question. Then it's a dumb question. So I got a little out for her on that one. I got a little out.
All right. Well, Mike Tomlin, 13th all-time in head coaching victories, 17 seasons at the helm in Pittsburgh, and a career record of regular season 173, 102. He does have...
He's 13th winningest coach is what you're saying.
Yes, he does have a Super Bowl title. Now, if you're going to sit there and say, okay, he's 13th all time and he's a slam dunk to be in the Hall of Fame, which I personally think he is, but then you look at who's ahead of him on the coaching win list. Jeff Fisher is sitting there at 12th, and I don't feel that Jeff Fisher is a Hall of Fame head coach. So, he's technically tied with Jeff Fisher. He's just percentage points behind him because Fisher was 173, 165, and 1. So Fisher actually has a lower win percentage. Tomlin, win percentage-wise, is fantastic. And in fact, let me sort it by win percentage? It's not letting me sort it that way. I wish I could. But anyway, the win percentage for Tomlin, 633. Is there any question in your mind, Coz, that if Mike Tomlin doesn't coach another game in the NFL, that he's a Hall of Famer?
Boy, when I look at the list of guys and I see who's on that list, Dan Reeves, is he a Hall of Famer? 190 wins? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Chuck Knox, 186 wins. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Jeff Fisher, you point out. He had a heck of a career. Didn't win the Super Bowl, though. Tomlin's got a Super Bowl.
Okay, the top five.
I think because of the era
Don
Go
Shula, winningest coach, obviously in the Hall of Fame. George Halas in the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick going to be in the Hall of Fame. Andy Reid going to be in the Hall of Fame. Tom Landry in the Hall of Fame. Curly Lambeau in the Hall of Fame. Paul Brown in the Hall of Fame. But then you get down to 8. You got Marty Schottenheimer, Chuck Noll, who is there, Dan Reeves, Chuck Knox, and Jeff Fisher. Those are the coaches in front of Mike Tomlin currently. I don't know. I just think 17 years without a single losing season, 8-10 in the postseason. He does have a Super Bowl title. I don't know how you don't put him in the Hall of Fame. I get that there's a discussion, and maybe he doesn't get in his first year of eligibility, but he's been a mainstay. Think about the guy he replaced, by the way, coming in and replacing Bill Cowher. And Bill Cowher was revered in Pittsburgh. And, you've talked about it, Coach. Do you want to be the guy that replaces the guy? Well, Mike Tomlin not only was the guy that replaced the guy, but he took it another notch up from the guy that he replaced. And that's not easy to do. So, in my mind, he's in the Hall of Fame.
I think in the world we live in today, he's an instant Hall of Famer. I think when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he should come up there with a certain quarterback who is the sole reason that Mike Tomlin has been incredibly successful in his career. Because without the play of Ben Roethlisberger, Mike Tomlin's an average coach. Roethlisberger is a superstar. He won a Super Bowl. He kept them relevant. He played through pain. The guy is the reason he's successful. Much like Belichick, we can now point to the reason he was successful. He had Tom Brady. All right? He had Tom Brady. Now he's going into the Hall of Fame, but he was great with Tom Brady. Without Tom Brady, he's just another guy. I think Mike Tomlin's been great for the game, but he had better go up there with Ben Roethlisberger and say, Ben, I know I've got to give a speech to everyone, but my speech is to you directly. And it's a love letter because you're the reason I'm here in Canton. That's how I view it.
Coach, I'm going to steal Matt Fowler's thunder right now. I've got breaking news.
I love it. Give me some breaking news. I'm hot.
Fresh off the email line via ChatGPT, Mike Tomlin has emailed the show. Again, this coming to us via ChatGPT. Dear LFG Radio Show, I trust this letter finds you amidst the excitement of the football season. Today's discussion on your show regarding my Pro Football Hall of Fame eligibility inspired me to share my perspective as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. As I listened to your engaging conversation, it struck a chord, prompting me to reflect on the journey that has defined my coaching career. I've had the privilege of leading one of the NFL's iconic franchises since 2007. Our journey has been marked by AFC North titles, playoff success, and a Super Bowl victory. Beyond the accolades, I take pride in fostering diversity in coaching and making a positive impact in the community. I respect the Hall of Fame's significance and the esteemed decision makers. I submit my case with gratitude, acknowledging the collective efforts that have shaped my coaching legacy. Thank you for your time and consideration. I do look forward to continuing my pursuit of greatness on and off the field. Sincerely, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. That coming to us from ChatGPT. How great is that?
That's pretty phenomenal. But what does that mean? Is that so? That's just our spin as to whether or not he would come back or not. Correct?
That's ChatGPT's spin as to whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame. That was
okay.
We're just having a little fun with ChatGPT.
Yeah, but he did the name Ben Roethlisberger come up? ChatGPT?
I could.
No.
Should we see if ChatGPT can add in a reference to Ben Roethlisberger?
Well, it shouldn't be a reference. The whole thing should be a love letter to that guy. That's what it should be. So we've got to call it the way it is. I mean, come on. And by the way, Cowher had a tough job too, taking over for Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll won 4. Cowher had a much tougher gig to take over, and he did pretty well.
The updated letter, the updated email. Boy, this just comes in quickly. Tomlin adding, I must acknowledge the individual contributions of players like Ben Roethlisberger. His leadership and dedication have been instrumental in our success, and I'm so grateful for having had the privilege of coaching such a talent.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this. If in 48 hours Mike Tomlin decides with the Steelers, with the Rooney family, that it's time to move on and to find their 4th coach in 6 years. That's how amazing their run has been. I sports hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, all right? I sports dislike them. But, man, they've gotten it right with head coaches. We cannot say anything different. But in the assumption that in 48 hours Mike Tomlin is on the street and gets a chance to choose his future, we know that Belichick is out there. McCarthy could be out there. Sirianni could be out there. So you have Belichick. Who are some of the other names you have out there? Honestly, if you had to rank the names of Vrabel, Harbaugh's
already interviewed with the Chargers.
That's right, and Belichick is interviewed with Atlanta. He met with the owner, and they went over the idea of him coaching. But if you had to do that, let me ask, how do we rank the available guys? Right? You've got the all-time greatest coach in Bill Belichick, most Super Bowls of anybody. You got a younger guy in Mike Tomlin. Both have shown that they're really great if they got a great quarterback. You've got Harbaugh, who we've seen develop quarterbacks. Remember, he took Alex Smith from nothing, suck for luck, and all of a sudden made him an NFC championship game starting quarterback 2 times in a row before he handed the job over to number 7. Who else? Vrabel has gotten to the AFC title game twice.
Pete Carroll.
Including knocking out Baltimore the year they were the 1 seed, I believe.
Pete Carroll.
Boy, that's another good one.
Pete Carroll.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Completely forgot Pete Carroll, who might be the most uplifting of all the head coaches on that list. So, how do you rank those guys? Who would you, let's say who's your team? The 49ers? Pick another one of your teams. Who do you like?
Well,
I like the Bears.
I like the Bills, and you know what? Could Sean Sweeney have been on the hot seat if they lost yesterday? That's how fickle everything is. Everybody wants to win now. And, you know, I'm going to give a shout-out right now to my longtime broadcast partner with the Timberwolves, Jim Peterson. I really probably should go through and do the research on this. He, as it pertains to the NFL, because I'm curious if it holds suit or not. But, Jim, would it shock you to know that in the NBA, over the last, 30 or 40 years, if as a head coach you do not win a title in your first 3 years, you're probably not going to win one. Most of the head coaches that are winning titles in the NBA the last 4 decades have done it within their first 3 years on the job. And I don't know. I don't know if that. And I'm talking 90%. It's a high number. And Jim did a big breakdown on that. I don't know if that same thing is true in the NFL. I'd really have to think about it, but it's just everybody likes something new, right? Like if it's not working after 2 years, and I think part of the reason that it holds true in the NBA also would hold true in the NFL. Everybody likes something new. If it's not working, well, clearly we've given this guy 2 years. It's not working. Let's move on to something else. There's got to be something
I think
better.
in the NBA, it's clear that guys take over ready-made jobs, right? Steve Kerr took over a ready-made job because Mark Jackson choked it away. Phil Jackson took over 2 ready-made jobs, one that Doug Collins made attractive with the Chicago Bulls, the other, the Los Angeles Lakers, when he decided to take on Kobe and Shaq. Steve Kerr could have gone to the Knicks and gone to Phil Jackson, but he realized, I got a team that won 50-odd games the year before. Why do I want to start from scratch when I got a team that's ready-made to win? So that might be part of it as well. Teams have a coach who gets them from A to B, but they don't think that coach can get them from B to C.
Nick
so they
Nurse
go out and get the
Toronto
next biggest
a few
name.
years ago. Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year, and they got replaced by Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
But the same, you think about it, what John Gruden did in Tampa. He took over Tony Dungy's team that was on the verge of winning a championship. So I think there are some similarities there. But at the end of the day, everybody wants change, right? And it's unbelievable to me that you could have a quarter of the league having a new head coach next year by the time all is said and done. Pittsburgh could still make a change. Philly could still make a change.
Yep.
It's unbelievable to me how much change that there could be in the NFL next year. And I think it just shows that everybody owners get anxious, fans get anxious. Nobody wants to show any patience. And I get it. If your team's not winning, you want to win now. But sometimes you need to develop players. You need to develop chemistry. Sometimes this stuff just doesn't happen overnight.
The other thing is if a Tomlin comes available, I don't think Mike McCarthy's going to have his phone ringing off the hook. Although that's not what the Fox crew said, right? Greg Olson said if they make a change there that McCarthy's going to have his phone ringing off the hook. So that might happen. But if those guys become available, if Sirianni becomes available, do teams that have not made the change, do those teams start to look at their situation and say, I know I've got Dennis Allen in New Orleans, but I could have Mike Tomlin, right? I know I have Dennis Allen, but I could have Mike McCarthy. Are some of these teams, and I just picked Dennis Allen because I have a small attachment to him. That's it. That's the only reason I chose that one. But it could be any number of them. And I would be intrigued if there are teams where their coach, he's on the cusp. The Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus. If Mike Tomlin becomes available, do they say, you know what, Matt, we said that we were going to keep you around. We've changed our mind because Mike Tomlin's available to us. That, to me, is an attractive proposition if you're looking at the names that are available out there right now. But, man, it's slow moving on the coaching front, isn't it? Who dove in to name a head? Did Washington? They haven't hired a head coach. They hired a general manager.
Yeah.
Right? And silence out of Charlotte. Nothing in North Carolina. The Carolina Panthers, you'd think that they would be out there quick to start interviewing guys. But they have all kinds of problems because they have a GM job and a head coaching job. Nothing coming up when you search on the Panthers.
Well,
so
we talked about it briefly yesterday. Part of it is going to be slowed down because you do have to adhere to the Rooney Rule. You have to interview. The Rooney Rule says you have to interview 2 external candidates who are either a minority or a female. And you have to do the interviews in person. Now, granted,
it's 2. When did it move to 2?
It's 2. It's 2. You have to interview 2 external candidates who are either minority or female. That's
okay.
per my exhaustive
I have a
research.
hot Rooney Rule take. I don't know if today's the day, but once all these jobs are taken, I think we could do a whole hour on the Rooney Rule and whether it's good or not good for the NFL / pro sports / life.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, does it really do what it's supposed to do? It was done in a spirit of, really good intentions, but has it been beneficial? Does it do what it's going to do? But that's going to slow the process a little bit, but it will be fascinating to see where some of these coaches land.
You could do 2 Zoom interviews this afternoon. You could knock those 2 out.
No, but they have to
like
be in person. They have to be in person. They can't
now
be
you're
virtual.
just telling teams they got to spend extra money on flying guys in.
Oh, I feel really bad for these NFL teams to have to buy somebody a plane ticket to come fly in. It could be. Hey, Coach, I'm going to totally digress here. By the way,
sure.
What is have you ever had a terrible job interview scenario? Because I had one that was awful, and it was in Philadelphia, by the way, which so it ties into Philadelphia. But I'm curious if you've ever had a really bad job interview scenario.
The one I got out of jail. First time I got hired by Sacramento, it wasn't the best interview. And they brought me in from Houston, and they asked me to come in and interview, and I said I didn't want to. And then 2 weeks later, they said, why don't you just come on out and take a look at the place? And I came out and interviewed. And then we were sitting around the table with the team president, the vice president of communications, and the director of broadcasting. And the vice president of communications turns her head and looks at me, and she says, so why do you want to work for the Sacramento Kings? And I looked around the table, and I said, I don't want to work for the Sacramento Kings. You guys wanted me to interview. And I thought, I'm not going to get that job. And I got a call 2 weeks later, and they offered me the job.
Well, there you go. Well, that's not terrible. My Philadelphia interview experience, it was basically like the Keystone Cops. Mm-hmm. So I've got my Keystone Cops music. It was not good, Coase. I was living in Dallas, and I get a call. I get a call from the WB station in Philadelphia. They want to hire me as their.
Is that channel 17?
I don't know what the channel number is.
Okay.
I know it was the WB. I'm not going to call out the guy who was the news director that flew me in because, I feel like he was obviously the chief person that was responsible for this going poorly. But
going for a Dallas guy to come to Philly, that's bold.
So I'm in Dallas. But here's the deal. They're flying me in from Dallas to Philly to interview. They don't offer me a hotel room to stay for the night. They're going to fly me in and out the same day.
Wow.
Worse yet, they not they're not only flying me in and out the same day, they don't even get me a nonstop flight, which from Dallas to Philly, I'm sure that's a number of nonstop flights. So they fly me through Charlotte. So I'm living in downtown Dallas, and I got to drive out to DFW, which it can be a little bit of a drive. And I think my flight was at like 6 a.m. because I'm already losing an hour going to Philly, and I got to change planes in Charlotte. So I'm up at like 4:30 in the morning.
If not 3:30, honestly. If your flight's at 6 a.m., you're probably up at 3:30, and you got to be at the airport.
Yeah, and it's a job interview, so I want to be looked after. So you're right. I'm probably up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning, and I drive out to DFW. And we get on the plane, and I think we sat on the tarmac and didn't take off on time. And so now suddenly my layover in Charlotte goes from being like 90 minutes, and I'm thinking, okay, I ran out the door. I didn't have time to get anything to eat. I'll grab something on the ground in Charlotte. Now my layover goes down to like a half an hour, and I literally have to go from one gate to the other. I have no time to get any food. So I land in Philly after.
So wait a minute. Let me ask. You're on the flight. What are you eating? Like, hey, you're taking everyone's crackers? You're like, can I get another bag of pretzels?
Yes.
Can I get another bag of pretzels?
I'm eating whatever they're offering. And so I get on the ground in Philly, and I'm thinking,
what are those biscuits, Matt? Matt, what are those biscuits you get when you fly? They're kind of sweet. I like them.
I've never gotten a biscuit.
Biscotti. What are those?
Biscotti.
Biscotti. Biscoff. My daughter tells me it's Biscoff biscuit.
Biscoff.
Man,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things
yeah.
are delicious.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
those flights.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Coach, put yourself in the position of the person who is bringing someone in for an interview, right? And you meet them at the airport and you pick them up. What is probably the first thing you're going to ask them when you see them?
How was your trip?
How was your trip? And did you have a chance to get anything to eat? Are you good, right? No, none of that. No, how was your trip? Just like, hey, great to meet you, whatever. Boom, in the guy's car, we go to the station. He takes me right into like the news meeting in the conference room. I sit in there, and I got to tell you, reading the body language and the interactions between this guy who's the news director and the news team, it was not good. It was
really?
it was like this guy, I could tell, was not being revered by his staff.
Not well liked by his people, is he?
Not well liked. So I get out of this meeting, and now we go up to his office, and sitting out on a sofa in front of his office is this kid who had been waiting there apparently for a good amount of time, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. And he says, oh, are we still on for our meeting? And the news director looks at him like, oh, geez, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. We're going to have to reschedule. So now this kid walks away disgruntled, right? And then I go
dejected. Poor kid, dejected. Thought he was going to be a reporter, a little cub reporter. Probably had a nice blue suit on and a great tie, hair slicked back. Going to impress him with his reel.
I think it was more
beta reel.
I think it was more like going for an editor job or something.
Beta reel, nice.
But in any case, he got totally blown off. He got dissed. So my level on this is just going down and down and down. And then I don't know. He takes me into another meeting. I end up meeting the GM and blah blah blah. And then we go back to his office. At this point, it's like, and on my flight back now, mind you, they didn't get me a hotel room. I'm flying back to Dallas, so I'm on like a 7 p.m. flight to go back to Dallas. It's like the last flight, and I got to reconnect through Charlotte. It's like the last flight I can make for the day. And so it's like 3 o'clock, and I still haven't eaten anything. And we finally get into his office, and he's like, so do you have any questions for me? And I said, yeah. I said,
Can I get a Snickers?
I said, how long?
Can I get a Snickers right about now?
I said, how long do you think it's going to take us to get to the airport? Could we maybe hit a drive-through on the way back to the airport? And he's like, oh, man. He's like, I meant to take you to lunch. I was like, you meant to take me to lunch.
Thanks, my man.
Yeah. So anyway, and I'm normally the guy who, when I do a job interview, right, I check all the boxes. I do everything right. I get back. I send the thank you letter, and I do everything that you're supposed to do.
Textbook. You're a textbook guy.
I'm a textbook guy.
That. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good move.
So I get back to Dallas, and I'm like so unimpressed. I'm like, there's no way I'm taking this job in Philly. There's no way I'm going and working for this guy who's an absolute buffoon.
Was it were you going to be the sports director?
I was going to be the sports director. So
wow, that's a big job.
It was a big job. But
they were paying money. What year is this? Mid-90s?
This was 2001. Maybe 2002, 2001,
They're still
2002.
paying some good money there.
Yeah.
They're still paying money.
Yeah. So I never send a thank you letter. There's no follow up. And so the epilogue to the story is literally like 2 months later, I get a phone call out of the blue. And I answer the phone and it's like, hey, Dave, this is Mr. X. Still not going to call him out, but hey, Dave, this is Mr. X. So what do you think? What do you think about coming here to Philly? We'd like to have you as our sports director. It was
Wow.
like 2 months went by. There was no communication, and out of the blue, 2 months later, he calls and offers me the job. I turned it down.
Oh, turned it down?
I turned it
Sports
down.
director in Philly?
And I had no job at the time, and I turned it down.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's bold.
That is bold. That's kind of.
It was-
Was he in
Wow.
was there newsroom in transition where he was taking over for another guy and he was starting to bring his own people in, or had he been there a while?
I mean, Jim, I didn't get that deep, man. Just,
No?
what? The writing was on the wall. It was just like this guy he was not running a tight ship. I mean, how do you fly somebody in? And again, this all goes back to the money, right? I think the Carolina Panthers have the money to fly in a coaching candidate and probably put him up in a nice hotel and probably take him out to a nice dinner. I'm not saying I expected them to put me up in the Philadelphia Four Seasons, which, by the way, is the nicest of all the Four Seasons in the domestic part of the country. If
That's
you
a
haven't
pretty
been
good
there,
4 seasons. That's a pretty good 4 seasons.
Wait. Does domestic include Hawaii?
I'm saying the contingent or contingent. How do you say it?
Continuous.
Continental.
Continuous? Let's say the continental U.S. Let's go with that.
Not Hawaii. Okay.
The
Not
48.
The
The
48.
48. The
The
real
48.
states.
The
real states.
Four
Not the fake
Seasons
states.
in Philly is on like the 60th floor. It's amazing. Like floor to ceiling, windows in every room, amazing. Anyway, I didn't expect to get put up there, but you couldn't have given me a Motel 6 and taken me out to Applebee's?
How about an Embassy Suites? How about an Embassy Suites where you get the free breakfast and then you get the manager's special at night where you can have some cocktails? I would have gone with an Embassy Suites.
Yeah, so if I had taken that job, I'd probably be chasing down the Nick Sirianni story today. But thankfully, I didn't have to deal with Philly, and I didn't have to deal with the cold, and I didn't have to deal with that newsroom. So that was good. I have I'll tell this story another day, Coase, but another job interview story. This wasn't a bad interview. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell the deeper story another time because we're up against the break.
Story
But,
time with Dave. That's what we're going to call this segment. Story
but-
time with Dave.
Coase, I interviewed at KUSA, the powerhouse
That's huge.
in Denver,
Yeah. Yeah.
the day of the Columbine shooting.
Oh, man.
It was the
Ouch.
day of the Columbine shooting, and it
Oh,
was
God.
I've
it
heard
was
this story.
it was crazy. Anyway,
Oh.
all right, so I'll tell that story another time. We are up against. By the way, Robin told me that Robin Austin, who is fantastic, and I know this is Tony's network, but Robin really is
It's Tony's name or it's Robin's network.
It's Tony's name. It's
Yeah,
Robin's network.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see, what do I have in the playlist here? Because Robin says that it's
Give me a
good-
little K-pop. Give
Robin
me a little
said-
K-pop.
well-
Give me a little
well-
17.
I already pulled this up. I don't want to go. We're already heavy. So, but Robin says
There
we
we
should
go.
go to break with some music rolling. So here you go. We're gonna take a time out.
I like this.
Hour 2 of LFG coming your way after this here on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Solid Motel 6 commercial. Dave, I was gonna say I have a pretty funny sports interview story thing, But if we're if we're moving on from that, that's fine.
We could do a story time segment. We need music for it.
Well, you got music there.
Okay, we're coming back here. That was a quick break. All right, I need a little music coming back. Here we go. All right, this is probably not the music I should have gone with for coming back.
Definitely not.
Little Dire Straits, but all right, here, let's go with this. This will pump us up a little bit more. Here we go. You ready?
There we go. Hey, there we go.
All right. Hour 2 of LFG. Dave Benz, Jim Kozimor, Matt Fowler, man in the studio, our producer extraordinaire. And we are in this final hour. Tony Bruno will join us at the end of the hour. We are guest-free, 844-644-TONY, 844-8669. If you want to do the text line, you can also try and give us a call, and we can see if we can work in a call. We still need to try that out, test that out. But we know who the final 8 are, the Elite 8 in the NFL. And Coz, I want to get to a topic you raised last night on the text chain. What is your dream Super Bowl matchup right now? Out of the 8 teams remaining, who would you like to see battling for the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, Nevada, in just about 3 weeks from now? And I really still haven't thought about it deeply. Obviously, I'm a 49ers fan, so I want to see the 49ers there. And I would say I would love to see – I'd love to see a rematch against the Ravens. I'd love to see the Buffalo Bills. I'd love to see the Kansas City Chiefs. Pretty much the only team that I don't want to see come out of the AFC is the Houston Texans. I'm sorry, Houston, but that's the only team I would not want to see come out of the AFC. Give me any team in Vegas representing the AFC other than Houston, and I do want to see the 49ers, but I'm biased.
I don't want to see the 49ers in there. I'm not going to lie to you. It's one of my sports hates. Not going to lie. I don't think there's any way to cut it.
Why?
Right?
It doesn't make sense, man.
I'm just sick of them. I'm sick of them.
They haven't won a title in forever, since '94 with Steve Young.
I know, but all we ever hear about, see, we should be pointing that out. They haven't won a title in forever, and yet every offseason, it's the Shanahan tree. We got to find Shanahan, and Shanahan's a brilliant play caller, and Shanahan. You know what? Losers, okay? That's what you're going down as, losers. You got to the Super Bowl, you lost. Got to the NFC title game, you lost. You're in the Super Bowl and you're with Atlanta, guess what? You had a 25-3 lead, and you lost. Sorry, you're losers. I'm tired of everyone going to the 49ers for the Shanahan tree of things. It's over. I'm a sports hate on the 49ers. Listen, if I'm looking at the games, I want Green. I'm a Bears fan, and I'm going to be rooting for Green Bay. All right? I'm a Bears fan, and I think I'm going to be rooting for the Lie-Downs over Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But either team that comes out of there is going to be a good story.
So you want an all NFC NFC North.
Yes.
I almost said Central. You want it?
I know. Well, you know what? The black and blue division, I'm with you on that one.
You want the all NFC North Division NFC Championship game. You want a cold NFC Championship game. You want it to be
it's an indoor. It's indoor.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
The lie-downs would be
Detroit.
indoor.
Yeah, okay. Detroit's indoors. Yeah. Okay.
Again, what we saw in Buffalo, it stands that my cause of every NFL team should have a dome because the NFL is wealthy enough. All right? If you're going to want to have flying in guys for interviews, I got news for you. I'd rather spend money on dome stadiums.
Not dome, retractable roof. That's what everybody needs.
I think
retractable roof goes.
Why retractable?
Because the games in September and October, it's great to be outside. Who wants to be playing in a dome on a crisp autumn afternoon? Nobody wants that.
Well, it's great conditions. Still, you get the dome, it's fine. What's the difference?
There's nothing like that crisp fall air. Listen, I'm a big give me summer every day of the year guy, but I do appreciate the crisp fall air.
Breeds bad people when you have that. You got to have the 4 seasons.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, in any case, everybody's trying to get to Vegas. Everybody wants to get. They want to get a little. I'm trying to see what's a good upbeat Tiesto song. Some Vegas. There we go. Everybody wants to get to Vegas, Coach.
Give me some Robert Goulet. Give me some real guys from Vegas. Give me the Rat Pack.
Have you been to Vegas in a while? This is what it's all
This
about.
stuff is weak. Give me a little Bob Goulet.
Coach is not heading out to the clubs.
No, I am not. Why? Because it's $24 drink night?
It's always it's $24 drink night no matter where you are. Forget about the club.
Anywhere, it doesn't matter.
And I don't know when the last time you've been to like a big club in Vegas, but I mean it's basically gotten to a point now where it's a full-on body cavity search to get in a lot of these places.
I might be going to a club soon then. Now we're talking. About time Jimmy got some action.
I was in a Vegas club. What do they call? They call it Excess. It's Encore Beach Club at night. Is Excess, and I was there NBA Summer League a couple of years ago, and Shaq was DJing, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
He was DJing. So it was a big thing, and my buddy who works for the Miami Heat, who I'll remain nameless, he got me in. I actually walked into the club with him and Pat Riley, but I had to wait to watch Riley finish
That's a humble
playing
brag.
some blackjack first, and then we
That's
all
a
walked
humble
in,
brag.
and we went back to Shaq's VIP
Wait, were you playing
table.
blackjack or was someone else
No,
playing
Riley
blackjack?
was playing blackjack.
And what kind of numbers was he playing? Like, what was he? He wasn't at the $10 chip table. I'll tell you
It
that.
was not.
There were a lot of black chips on that table. That's all I'm going to
Okay.
say. There were a lot of $100 chips being passed around. I
like that.
I was trying not to watch too closely, but
Yeah.
but then we all walked in and we went to Shaq's table back in the VIP area, and then Shaq gets up to go DJ. And Shaq's DJing, which he probably got paid like $50,000 just to go make an appearance. Shaq's DJing was he walked up on the DJ booth. He like puts his arms in the air. The entire crowd goes crazy. He presses one button. The smoke machines go off. The music starts.
Nice.
The crowd goes crazy again. And then he turns around and walks back to his VIP table. That was it.
That's awesome.
That was Shaq.
That's awesome.
That was Shaq's DJing.
By the
That's
way, I
nothing wrong.
have some inside info. Oh, keep it going. Yeah.
What do you
Tie
got?
those headphones a little tighter. Tie those headphones a little tighter, Matt. Matt Fowler, our producer, if you're watching us. I've never seen. Can you not untangle them? Is there? Are you not good?
I will untangle them in due time, Mr. Kozimor. Okay.
God,
So-
it's making me uncomfortable. I'm reaching under my chin because I think I've got something there. Those things are so tight.
So okay, I actually know somebody who was responsible for booking guests at a racetrack, and they booked Shaq, and she told me how much Shaq makes, and it was
And?
$200,000.
$200K to go push
$200K
a
to
button.
press a button. Yes.
To press a button.
Wow.
It's good to
I
be
want
Shaq.
that job.
Sorry, man. I just don't get it. That whole showing up because Paris Hilton's there or someone named Kardashian is there. I don't get it.
I met Paris Hilton at a club in New York one time. But
Did
that's
she
all
I
live
right.
with
interviewed
you?
Paris Hilton at a casino opening in Vegas. I had a one-on-one with her. She was wearing a $1 million dress.
I bet she looked like $1 million in a $1 million dress. She looks like
Yeah.
$1 million out of a $1 million dress.
I was
Yep.
just gonna say that.
In any case, all right. So those are the teams. So, Coach, you want to see anybody? You want to see Detroit? So do you want
Here's
Detroit
my
or
deal.
Green?
You
who
want
do
the truth?
Who do you want in the
Here's
Super
how
Bowl?
I feel.
Who do you want in the
I
Super
think-
Bowl?
Who do I want or who do I think?
Who do you want
Because-
and who do you think?
I want anyone but the 49ers. I would love here's what I would like in the Super Bowl. If I'm just because in theory you're with the media, you want the best stories. I want the Detroit Lions taking on the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 50. Is it 59 coming up? Super Bowl 59. That's what I want. I want the Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions because the Lie-Downs have never been to a Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills lost 4 Super Bowls. That would be a game of two cities who love their respective teams in a way others don't. For instance, San Francisco. They have great fans, but there isn't the same gathering point that you have with the Lions, that you have with the Bills. Those teams define those cities, and those fans are different versions of fans. And I'm just telling you that if someone said, all right, Jim, you get a chance to choose the game that we think would be the best thing going, I would go Detroit Lions, Buffalo Bills hands down. That's what I want to see happen down the stretch.
What?
What was that?
Oh,
Why not?
You got the devil sound effect. Okay. I like that.
Why don't you think they'd like that?
Two small market teams.
You could put listen to me. It's the Super Bowl. You could put the original team in Canton because the NFL started before it was the NFL in Ohio. It was based in Ohio. And Canton was one team playing the town next to it. The name of the town escapes me. You could have those two kid teams playing in the Super Bowl. It's still going to get 100 million people watching it. It does not matter. This isn't the NBA.
This is true. I just really wanted to say something that sounded smart because of this sound effect I'm using on my voice right now.
I'm loving that. It's going to give me nightmares tonight, that voice.
Let's see what else I can... Hold on. I'm trying.
Okay, there we go. I also have this one available today.
That's cool. I like that one. You should have used that one when we were doing the Little Rascals bit.
Yep. Now we don't hear him.
Uh-oh, now the fans are saying, I like that one best.
All right. It didn't. Oh wait.
There
okay,
we go.
Now it's back. No, now it's out again. I don't know. It cut out. Okay. There we go. Let's see. Now I have two mics going. Let me shut the main one off.
There we go. Now back to this one.
All right, hello. Check. So
Now it sounds like you're in a cave.
sounds like I'm in a cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This one, more of a cave.
Cave underwater.
This is the new Matt Fowler. Matt
Yeah, that's
is
a
gonna
cave
be having
underwater.
us.
You're choking on water in a cave.
Okay, how about now? This is just, I'm down the hall.
No. That's, what would you say, Matt? That's even deeper in the cave, I
That's
think.
like you're in the Grand Canyon and you can't get out and you're yelling.
Hello.
Okay. Here we go. How's this? I like the one I started with the best. Anyway, this is the new mixer that I'm trying to get up to speed for Matt. So
You know what? Here's what I like about this show. Most shows do that off hours, not us. Not us. We run it right through our 2 hours. All right? That's how we do it, from 1 to 3 Eastern, right here on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
See, Dave, the devil voice should, it should go to, like, this is the nightmares that Jerry Jones has, in his,
Right?
when he wakes up in a cold sweat, like, you lost 48-32 to the Packers when you haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. That's the voice that he hears.
The voice is, you know what the voice is? Give me that voice again, and then just say, you made the deal with the devil to win 3 Super Bowls, and you used them up early in your ownership tenure.
Deal with the devil to win those 3 Super Bowls. And now it's time to pay up.
Do you do that? You use that for Halloween when you're giving away candy?
No, I just got it last night, so
Okay.
I was waiting for an opportunity to
Man,
break
they must
that
pay.
out and use it today.
They must pay NBA guys a lot of money. You got a lot of gadgets over there. You're spending money on.
I don't know if I got a lot of gadgets. I got a lot of I got a mess. It all looks good on this screen, but it's a mess around me. Trust me. Anyway, I'm going to be handing that over to Matt at some point, so Matt's going to be able to have some fun with that.
What Super Bowl would you want to see?
Well,
Dave,
I told
you
you.
could
I
choose.
okay, so I want 49ers Bills. That's what I want because those
Okay.
are my teams. Those are my teams. The Bills.
When did you become a Bills fan?
No, the Bills have always been my second favorite team for my entire life. They've been my favorite AFC team. I was a Redskins fan for a long time. And then, we talked about this on one of the shows, why I changed my fanhood. But I changed fanhood about 15 years ago.
Is it because of the owner? I forgot. I forgot the story.
Owner.
You told.
Because of Dan Snyder.
But he's not
and
there anymore.
I know, but I've already changed by now. So
Now you got a tech billionaire who just hired a 49ers disciple.
Well, I'm all in on the Niners at this point. But the Bills were my number 2 because I grew up in Syracuse and I went to a number of Bills games. So they've always been my favorite AFC team. They've always been my number 2 favorite team. But when I decided I wasn't going to be a Redskins fan anymore, I instead decided to go to the 49ers, and the Bills still got stuck in the number 2 spot.
All right. That sounds fair. I too here now. I want Detroit because I think it's a better story, and I think it's great for that city. And I listened yesterday after they won the game Sunday night to win a home playoff game. Adults in tears. The next morning, adults in tears, talking about going to the days when the Lions played at Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium. And then they went on to the Pontiac Silverdome, and they've owned tickets, and they've been going for years and years. And finally, to get a home playoff game and to win it and to do it against their former quarterback, it was generations of Lions fans coming together. And it's such a good, hearty people who follow that team. And I think Bills fans are much the same way when you see them coming together. I root for stories as much as I root for the teams. And I think those are the 2 best stories going right now. So if I could pick it, that's what I would pick. Now, if I had to go with what I want to have or what I think is going to happen, I think the Buffalo Bills are the hottest team in the game, and I think they're going to get there. And I think no one in the National Football League can touch what the 49ers are doing. I think it's the 49er invitation is what it is right now. It's not even the Super Bowl this year. They should just call it the 49ers invitation and get it over with.
Well, before we can get out of that, there's a little Buffalo Bills football game coming up this coming weekend. It will be the final game of the 4 games for the divisional playoff. And, Coz, you brought up a good point last night as well talking about this. It's going to be Mahomes against Josh Allen. Yet again, we've seen this before. It has been fantastic. Is this the new Brady versus Manning? And Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, they met in the playoffs 5 times, and the team that was at home, the quarterback that was home, won all 5 of those meetings. Brady was 2-0 against Manning. One of those games was an AFC Championship game, I believe, probably 2004 at Gillette Stadium, and I was there in attendance, and boy, was it ever cold. And the Colts put on a heck of a fight, but Brady and the Patriots ended up winning that one. And then Manning 3-0 between Indianapolis and Denver. He was 1-0 against Brady
at home. Yeah, went 3-0 at home.
At home.
Yeah.
So overall, they met a total of in the regular season. They met 9 times. Brady was 9-3, so they met a total of 17 times over their career.
Wait. Did they meet 5 times?
5 times in the postseason.
Times? Did they meet 9 times?
5 postseason. 5 postseason.
Gotcha.
And then 12 in the regular season. Brady dominated the regular season 9-3. Okay. But he did get out of those 12 regular season games, 8 of them were in New England. So I don't know how that math worked out. But let's talk about, is this the new Brady versus Manning, Mahomes versus Josh Allen? Is this a rivalry that we're going to be seeing for the next several years to come?
I think that when you look at what these guys potentially could do, I do think that you could start to build a case of, because the last time they played in the playoffs, we thought it was over and the Chiefs had won, and Buffalo goes down the field and scores with under a minute to go, right? And we thought, wow, we're seeing the changing of the guard. Here come the Buffalo Bills. And then what happens with under a minute to go? Patty Mahomes becomes a magician, and he marches down the other end of the field in less than a minute and scores, and the Chiefs end up getting a victory. I think it's epic games like that lead us to believe that this could potentially be something like that. And remember, they faced off earlier this regular season with Buffalo getting a 20-17 win on the road in Kansas City. I think because of the high profile of both guys, everybody thinks that Patrick Mahomes has a chance to be Tom Brady good, win that many Super Bowls. But then there are other people who look at what Josh Allen has done and said, you know what? He might be the new prototype quarterback. He's maybe better than Lamar Jackson in that he runs in a far more physical fashion, but he's bigger and stronger to take those hits, and he's a better passing quarterback than Lamar Jackson. I think when you look at these two guys, and it's still early in their careers, I think when you look at these two guys, you could start to see a new Brady-Manning comparison. You know what? I like this. I like it, Dave. I'll be honest. I will be watching as much because of those two guys. We're going to watch every game. right? We're going to watch, let's say the Lions and the Buccaneers. Typically, we wouldn't watch the Lions and the Buccaneers. We're going to watch it. It's the playoffs. But aren't we going to watch Buffalo and Kansas City a little differently this time because of who they are?
I don't think there's any question. It's going to be an exciting matchup. By the way, how about the numbers? I'm looking at Josh Allen.
Yeah.
You mentioned that amazingly epic playoff game that we're all going to remember for decades between the two of them. But counting regular season, Josh Allen has won 3 of the last 4 meetings head-to-head against Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
And by the way, this will only be, counting regular season, this will be only the second time out of this will be now the 7th meeting between the two of them. This will only be the second time that the game has been played in Buffalo.
Interesting.
So Mahomes has gotten to play all those games at home. But how about these numbers? Josh Allen in 6 games against the Kansas City Chiefs, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
That's amazing.
That's pretty good.
amazing. For a guy who everyone says, he throws too many picks. He turns the ball over too often. You got to give him away. Everyone at midseason, they had turned on Josh Allen. Second half of the season, Josh Allen has been the best football player in the National Football League, all right? The best overall football player in the entire stinking league. If I am starting a new team, I'll tell you something. If I have the number 1 overall pick, I trade down and get more because I'm taking Josh Allen because everyone else is taking Patty Mahomes. I love me some Josh Allen. I would have him on my franchise. I would franchise tag him. I would give him a franchise. I'd give him part of the franchise to come and play for me. That's how much I love Josh Allen. Those are great numbers. But you know what, Dave? The difference is in playoff action. You got to win in the playoffs, and you got to win Super Bowls.
Well, Josh Allen has not had a lot of playoff success, but I feel like with the game being in Buffalo this time around, you've got a really good chance for Josh Allen to be able to correct that in the playoffs and get a win over Patrick Mahomes. By the way, how many quarterbacks are doing this?
Josh steps up, and he's going to get the first down. Oh, and there he goes. No one's going to get him. Incredible. Breaks it for the touchdown. 52 yards.
That's amazing. That touchdown yesterday. By the way, the Steelers, the tackling on that play or the non-tackling on that play was disgusting. They gave up. They gave up. They thought Josh Allen was going to just slide. He got the first down. They thought he was going to slide, so they gave up. And Josh Allen, I think at first was going to slide, and then he realized, you know what? No, I got green in front of me.
Well, I thought I'm going to use that to douse water on this run, and I love Josh Allen. I just said how much I love it. But because of the rules in the NFL where you can't hit a guy going down, he gave you the fake slide. Zoop! I'm going. He gave you the Bugs Bunny on that one is what he did. I'm coming down the field. I'm going to slide so I don't get hit. No, I'm not going to slide. Defense can't touch me. Wah! Catch my dust. See, I think we got to go back to hitting quarterbacks, man. If you're running the football, you got to do it. If you start to give yourself up, you got to give yourself up.
Well, it really is subjective, right? Because there was one play yesterday when Josh did get a flag late, and the Steeler defender, Josh started his slide. I mean, it comes down to, I understand protecting the quarterbacks, but the guys that are trying to tackle him, there's times where they've already started their dive and they haven't, and you can't pull up. No. And in those situations, you're just rewarding the quarterbacks, and you're making it almost a little bit too much in favor of the QBs.
And for my money, even when you do hit the guy when he's sliding, I think most defenders are pulling up a little bit when they see the guy going down. I don't think they give him the full-on Malachi crunch. I think they do start to pull off. But I think that's what led to that 52-yard run was which, by the way, second longest run, the longest, the Colin Kaepernick 57-yarder against the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because defenses at that time couldn't hit the quarterback at all. So when he's going to go with the pistol and make the fake handoff, I remember the linebackers for Green Bay saying after that season, they said, screw it. Next year we're just hitting the guy. We'll take the penalty. That's why he was able to go and run. And that's why Kaepernick was so effective. Once guys started hitting him, he wasn't effective anymore. Josh Allen's big enough to take the hits, though. That's what I think the difference maker is on Josh Allen. But I do think it led to the 52-yard run.
You've got me actually going to the Google machine right now because
Go to the Google machine.
Because I'm looking up the Malachi Crunch.
You don't know what that is?
No, a fictional
Happy Days,
demolition
man.
derby.
Happy Days. Happy Days.
Okay, the Malachi Crunch.
Come on. The Fonz. He was in the demolition derby. His car was caught in the middle. The
While we're
Malachi
on-
brothers were going to give him the
while-
crunch.
While we're on the subject of Bills and Kansas City, I was gonna have this as one of my MF topics, but I'll just say it here because we're already on it. So we overreact to everything.
You
right?
can't wait. You can't wait 5 minutes?
No.
Wait, no, we got good Malachi Crunch stuff going on here.
Okay, Malachi Crunch. Okay.
And next to him, his partner, a local favorite, Madman Malaki.
Malaki.
On the side of the ring, we have
Oh,
Filthy
Malaki?
Marvin and his partner, No Nose Quirk. Good luck,
No nose Clark.
And next we have the diabolical Count Malachi and his brother Rocco.
Okay, Richie
There
Cunningham
you
said
go.
Malachi, and then he said Malachi.
Yeah.
We have no pigeons. That's the end of the introductions. With the drop of the flag, the derby begins.
How good is the internet? The internet is amazing.
I think it's Satan's spawn.
The fact that we can pull up any of this stuff. All right, so the Malachi Crunch, the Malachi Crunch. So they were basically just trying to go after the Fonz.
Yep, they were going after the Fonz, and he was pinned. They had a chance to give him the Malachi Crunch. For our old-time listeners out there, when we get Tony on, Tony will know what we're talking about.
We'll ask Tony if he knows what the Malachi Crunch is. And
I have no idea of anything you guys just said.
Matt, did you ever watch Happy Days? Was that too? Was that? No.
No, I never watched.
So,
Happy
Matt,
Days.
do you know? Okay, we're totally digressing. And by the way, when we come back, we're gonna hit the break soon. I do want to play the NBA on TNT stuff from last night, only because you were, as a Chicago guy, you were so heated up about the Kraus stuff. We've talked about it the last couple of days, and finally, Charles Barkley got into the fray and called out some people. So I want to hear that. But
I'd like to hear that.
But Matt, I do want to know, Matt, are you familiar with the phrase "jumping the shark"?
No.
Wow. Not.
We need a new
familiar with-
producer. We need a new producer. That's
Whoa.
you know what? That's Biden's America. If you don't know what that is, that's Biden's America. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh my God, look
Jumping
at putting politics into this.
I know, huh? I know.
Matt, you don't know the phrase
Biden-
"jumping
Biden
the shark"?
would know.
Really?
Biden would know what jumping the shark
Yes,
is,
he
though.
Of course he would know what jumping the shark is. He's 100 years old.
Okay, jumping the shark is you could argue
Wow, you're
that
an
that
ageist.
the Nick Sirianni era in Philadelphia has jumped the shark. And jumping the shark means that it's gone too far and it's time for a change. Okay? It's basically what it means. And jumping the shark, the origins of jumping the shark, it all comes back to Happy Days. Everything comes to all.
Do you remember? And do you remember why? Do you remember why that phrase came out of it?
Yes, I do. Because at the end of one of the seasons of Happy Days, the Fonz was on water skis, wearing a leather jacket, and he was challenged to jump over a cage that had a great white shark in it.
Yeah.
And so the episode and the season finale ended with Fonz just about to go over the thing and what would happen next. And we had to wait the entire summer. We had to wait from, May until September to see what was going to happen next.
That's how you did TV, man. You got to see the reruns throughout the summer, but then in September, you were right there in front of your TV with your 3 channels plus PBS.
Tuesday.
How can you guys give me crap when Happy Days premiered in 1974? Okay, that's 17 years before I was born. You can't give me crap for that.
There's called reruns. Nick at Night,
Called history.
baby.
It's called history, my friend. Hey, I'll give you the button up to that. Did you ever watch the TV show Arrested Development?
I did.
Okay,
watch
so Henry
Arrested
Winkler played a lawyer on that show, and in an episode, he was talking to one of his clients on the dock by a body of water, and there was a dead shark laying across the dock, and they were discussing the thing that was they were about to go to trial over something, and Henry Winkler's character, he finishes the conversation and turns to walk away, and there's a shark in front of him, and he looks at both guys, and he jumps over the shark and walks down the pier.
God.
Yes, look for Arrested Development Jump the Shark, and you'll see Henry Winkler as a lawyer jumping the shark.
That's too good. That's too good.
See, Jim, you have to have more faith in me. See, I knew Arrested Development.
Okay,
just need to
good.
bring it a little bit more into the contemporary. There's Arrested Development,
All
and
right.
then there's SpongeBob, and
All
there's
right,
nothing
listen.
in between.
We got to hit the break. You guys can continue this conversation after while we're in the break. And Matt has a sports update coming up, and we will get into the NBA. All that is ahead on a Tuesday edition of LFT.
Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, what a day. Moving all week with you.
All right, that was good. That was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, Matt, you got to get up on your Happy Days knowledge.
No, I don't. All right, watch. I'm going to untangle these headphones. All right, see? So now I have the headphones untangled. See? How much time we got?
We got three more minutes still.
Okay.
We got Baskin. The Dr. Pepper commercial will be the last one.
Okay. Can you hear me when I talk just like this?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't need to be so close to the microphone.
All right, how much time we got? You got some good potentials here, Matt.
For what?
For MF.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we got MF coming up too.
Yep, that too.
So we'll do the update and then we'll do the MF.
Got it. I got two topics for them left.
All right, this next commercial is the last one.
It's the bottom of the hour, or close enough. Time for your Tickscape Studios sports update with Matt Fowler.
Arizona has agreed to a 5-year deal to make San Jose's Brett Brennan the next head football coach at San Jose State University. Brennan finished as 7th in one of rugby union's
Abort that mission.
Yeah, Matt, did you just abort?
Abort. All right, abort. We're aborting this.
Are you pre-writing these, Matt, or are you just winging these? What's going on
No,
there?
I am pre-writing this, and I got tongue. Yeah, you know what? Yep, that's just you know what? There's a new head coach at San Jose State. Okay, there you go.
And breaking news:
At San Jose State?
new auditions for a
No.
sports update anchor
Stop
on
it.
LFG.
Yeah.
Stop it.
There's a new head coach in Arizona
from
San Jose State.
Yeah, Arizona has agreed to make San Jose State's Brett Brennan the next football coach at Arizona. I got tongue-tied there.
Okay,
Sorry.
so with all the things going on in the world of sports,
yes,
you're telling me Arizona hiring Brett Brennan is in our update.
What's the story that he thought we needed to hear? That's
no,
good.
It's news. We got the big news from the last sports update. Okay, I mean,
that was an
that?
hour ago. You're assuming everybody's listening for an hour.
well,
I'm on the show. I'm not even listening. I didn't even hear the last update.
All right.
All right.
Well,
we're not
you
gonna
know
we're not
what?
gonna lean on you too much.
No, I mean it's hey, live radio. This happens. Hey, it's getting better every day. Okay.
All right. Well, you got a chance to redeem yourself instantly, Matt
Hopefully.
Fowler, because it's that time.
Matt Fowler may be congenial producer by day, but in this segment, he's ditching the nice guy routine. Time to get MF'd.
There is no way
Where's
I'm
the
a
nice guy?
congenial. Yeah, yeah. There's no way I'm a
where's the nice
congenial
guy?
producer. No, That's not.
He's
that's
not a nice guy.
No, I'm not. All right, I am definitely a little rough around the edges. Okay, so and now I'm in a bad mood because that just happened. All right, so here's what I think. We overreact to everything in sports. I got two things for you. We overreact to everything. So Patrick Mahomes is going to be playing his first playoff game on the road, right? Never been away from Arrowhead. If he loses, how hard do we hit Patrick Mahomes in terms of, big moments, maybe this, maybe that? And obviously, yes, he's won Super Bowls. I know. But we have to give everybody a fair treatment here. And
Matt, you're out of your mind. I'm shutting you down on this. You're out of your mind.
Fine. Tell me.
Patrick Mahomes is the reigning MVP. He led one of the greatest comebacks in a Super Bowl victory ever 11 and a half months ago. And in the year before that, he had that epic playoff game we were just talking about with Josh Allen.
But are you telling me that there will not be people that, if they go in there and he gets blown out
First take.
in Buffalo, will there be people that will say,
Get
that will
up.
criticize? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jim.
Colin.
Uh,
The guys in the afternoon
yeah,
on the
there will
talk
be
shows.
there will be people that will say that I have no respect for whatsoever. Okay.
Are those people?
listen,
are those people
I
getting paid a
won't.
lot of money?
I won't, but I do think that question will come up. Honestly, I understand why you're asking it. I think that the second guessers or the Monday morning quarterbackers of the world will come out and say, yeah, look at him. When he's home, he can do great things. But when he's got to go into a tough environment, he turtles up. There's going to be a hot take artist who gives you that. So, yes, I do think it's going to happen.
Okay,
It's not my take. It's not my take, but I think that take will come out.
Well, listen, I think the Bills are going to win this game, but it's not
I
a
hope they
guarantee.
do.
It's not a guarantee the Bills are going to win this game. And Mahomes could go in there and absolutely play lights out and lead the Chiefs to an amazing victory again. And then are we going to put him up even higher on the pedestal? I mean, I just think, listen, Mahomes clearly is the elite of the elite in the NFL, and until somebody else can unseat him from that, he's still the reigning MVP, and he's still a guy that I think pretty much the other 31 GMs in the league, with maybe a couple of exceptions, let's just say 28 out of the other 31 teams would take Patrick Mahomes over who they have in a second. And I don't there's a couple of exceptions to that rule, but you're gonna tell me the 49ers, as good as Brock Purdy is, that they wouldn't take Patrick Mahomes over Brock Purdy? They'd do it in a second.
Right now, are you kidding me? They would be loading up the truck and
would.
driving over to pick him up. Let me tell you this, though. If it's reversed and Buffalo loses, you will have people say, is Josh Allen good enough to win a Super Bowl for you?
Totally.
Because until you win a Super Bowl, you will always have that question. You can be as great as you want to be for 17 weeks, Dak Prescott, and you can lose in the playoffs, and you are a playoff loser. That's what you are.
Okay.
So I think there's more pressure on Josh Allen this weekend than there is on Patrick Mahomes, but I'm rooting hard for number 17 in the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Matt, do you have another one or
I do.
Okay.
I do. I have another one. I believe
It better be the rugby guy who's going to come over to the NFL.
No, it's not. I believe that the Olympics, I think we're just overhyping the Olympics always.
Under 200 days until the next Olympic Games
You're
in
talking
Paris.
to two Olympic announcers here, Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I'm
That's
aware
a bold
of this.
move, Cotton. Bold strategy, Cotton.
I'm aware of this. You two also happen to be my friends, so I think you'll give me a little bit of slack, or maybe not. Please don't.
Yeah.
But no, I just think like there's this narrative that it's so patriotic to go win the gold in the fencing or something. I just nobody cares about these sports other than Olympics times.
Well, that's true. That's true. No one's. It's not like anyone's sitting around, watching. There are hardcore like curling. Let's
Nobody.
use that as the
Listen,
example.
I'm not going to say nobody, but most people aren't watching college basketball until the NCAA tournament either. So, but when it's March Madness, then everybody cares, and when the Olympics come, everybody cares. I don't care about swimming. I mean, my son was in swimming, so I cared about youth swimming. But I'm not turning on the U.S. swimming championships. But you better believe I'm going to watch. Michael Phelps or whoever is going to be the hot swimmer for 2024.
Sure.
I'm going to watch them get in the pool.
I guess my overall point is there's this disconnect between is that this patriotic thing to go and win a gold medal in a sport that for 99% of the time nobody cares about. I mean, it just is weird to me, and I think we.
Well, you hate America. It's obvious you hate America.
Okay.
That's what stands out to me in this, Matt.
We're sending Matt out to Russia. Matt, okay, listen, Tony's joining us in like 2 minutes, so I do want to get to this because we teased it. Jim, your reaction to this? Here's Charles Barkley last night on the NBA on TNT.
I want to be very careful here because, Chicago, I love that city, but what happened in Chicago the other night was a disgrace. It was a flat-out disgrace.
The booing of Jerry Krause, the late Jerry Krause.
The booing and having his wife cry like that, that was wrong on so many levels. Michael and Scotty and Dennis not showing up, that was wrong. It was a complete disgrace to the legacy of the Chicago Bulls. They've always been a great, great organization, but for that thing to go down like that, not to have the greatest player in your organization there and won 6 championships, and Dennis and Scotty, and first of all, I don't even know why you would put 100 guys in the Ring of Honor anyway. That's just stupid. But what those fans did to Mrs. Krause, that was not cool, and they owe that lady, everybody involved owe that lady an apology. Whether you like Jerry Krause or not, that man's dead. Rest in peace. His wife is there, and y'all made that lady cry, and that was total BS.
Wife, kids, grandkids.
Yeah, that was wrong, man. To have that lady crying like that hurt my heart watching that thing.
That was painful. And,
all right, that's the NBA on
again, that's not an indictment of all
TNT. Coach, your thoughts on that? Pretty much. And listen, it's one thing for you and I to talk about it, but to hear Charles Barkley, who was a Dream Team teammate of Michael and Scotty, and basically calling them out for not being there, that is the biggest deal out of that in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, clearly, Charles Barkley's going to have a louder voice than any of us here. I wish he would have gone a little further. One thing I will say about Dennis Rodman in this, it's my understanding that he had planned to be there, but that the travel situation with weather changed his plan. I don't know if that's so. That's just a story that I had heard. But everything he said is correct. I would have gone a little bit further. I do think that Michael Jordan has a piece to that puzzle because he continues to kick Jerry Krause when it's unnecessary. And quite frankly, Jerry Krause built not one, but 2 dominant franchises. The first time around with Scotty and Michael when he had Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright and Craig Hodges, and the second time around when he had Scotty and Michael and he had to bring in other guys like Bill Wennington and Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman move was a controversial move at that time because Rodman had come from the Pistons, the Bulls' arch enemy. He had played in San Antonio where he was kicking guys into junk. This is a guy who it was a controversial move to bring him in, and to have him come to the Chicago Bulls was a stroke of genius. And Jerry Krause, whether you liked the fact that he was a short little fat man or not, he did great things for the Chicago Bulls name, and I feel horrible for his wife, and I wish that Barkley would have gone further, but I agree with what Charles Barkley said.
All right, and with that, we'll close the book on that because Tony Bruno is standing by to join us. And putting the pirate music back on, the theme that we opened the show with. Tony is back on the air again today. No morning show in Philly for him today, which is good. So you're going to get a fresh Tony Bruno.
He didn't give me what was going on in the Iowa caucuses, Tony. I needed to hear what's going on in the Iowa caucuses. Oh. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his accountant sure misses those.
Those were great.
The guy was hilarious. Hey, he was a better pitchman than quarterback, but you know what? Last night he was a better quarterback than pitchman. And who's not rooting for number 6 right now? Other than the Motor City where they love their lie downs, everyone's got to be pushing in their chips on number 6 right now. Yep. Yes, yes. Yep. Yeah.
The Lions and the Rams. So are you saying, Tony, that it's blowing hookers? Is that what's happened to the Eagles?
Oh goodness.
Yep. Really? Wow. Oh, even better. What a great memory. Wait, I got one for you. Hold on, Tony. I got. Let me give you this one. 1977. It's spring into summer. The 76ers take a 2-0 lead on Dave Twardzik and Bill Walton and the Portland Trailblazers, and you thought you were going to have yourself an NBA title with Doc and George McGinnis. Yep. Yeah. Define clean house. What do you mean clean house? You mean with players or
Wow, that is a great take. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. That
is.
happened in the Niners game, and that's when everything kind of started to unravel. Wow.
I love that. Ooh. Agreed.
Hey, Tony, we only got like 2 minutes left with you before we end our show. I just want your thoughts. We were talking earlier today. Mike Tomlin, obviously, there's questions in Pittsburgh, but I'm just wondering, should Tomlin be out in Pittsburgh and never coach another NFL game? Hall of Famer or not?
But if they move on, would you take him in Philly? If the Steelers move on from him, if the Rooney family says, you know what, it's time for us to find our fourth coach in 60 years, you're free to go. Would you want him in Philly? Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, Tony, good stuff. And Tony's coming up with his show coming on, and Tony in honor of both Tony and Philadelphia, and Elton John. By the way, we didn't get to it. He became an ETOB last night, or EBOT. What is it called? He won an Emmy last night. So now he's got an Emmy, and an Oscar, a Tony, and a Grammy. EGOT, I think they call it. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar,
That's pretty
Tony.
cool.
Yeah, so he joined an exclusive club last night. So here's a little Elton to take you out. Philadelphia Freedom, Tony's coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern here on LFG. All right, guys. Good stuff,
Great
man.
job. Great job.
All right.
Good stuff.
Talk to you guys later.
All right, guys. Have fun.
Well, I'm better than that, and it makes me disappointed because I thought what? Yeah, and it makes me disappointed in myself because I want to hold myself to a high standard, and I also want you to be. Yeah, well, that's why I love the fact that you give me the feedback, baby, because you help me. You know, it's kind of a new thing for me, right? I'm used to calling games, and obviously I would never say that on a game. So you know what? That's just what I need to do. No, I didn't. No, I didn't like saying it. No, you know what? I get carried away, and I get. No, I don't want you to have to say it. No, baby, I don't want to say things. I don't want to say things that make you have to say things like that. I know you don't want to say it, and I don't want to be the person that. I will, and you know what I'm going to do from now on? I'm just going to think about it as if it was an NBA broadcast. Would I say if it's not something I would say on an NBA broadcast, then I'm not going to say it on here. That's all I